Hi everybody, it's Steph here today, and we're going to be working with some Distress Oxide inks to create backgrounds for some Lavinia stamps. So first thing I'm going to do is use my bundled sage, and I'm going to just sponge it around the bottom third of my card. I like the various shades of color that you get. I'm not looking for perfection. I just want to add some of that rich color. And once the bundled sage is done, I'm going to add some tattered rose. I saw a sunset yesterday, and it was so awfully pretty with a light pink under the blue sky. So I thought that would make for a really pretty card. And then I want to blend the colors together where they meet. I actually should have done the same thing. I'm going to do 2 cards, so I should have both of them ready. I find the Distress Oxides are a really pretty, subtle color, different than the original Distress inks, which I use all the time. I'm going to use some faded jeans, and this color is very dark. I think there's actually more ink in my faded jeans than in my tattered rose. Again, I'm not really too concerned with how it's going on my paper, because they can have so many different looks. You can have some clouds, you could add some stars in there. You could also use the square stamping sponge if you desire. I've used them both. And I'm going to work with Zamira. This is a really nice stamp. And I'm going to stamp her with the Fallen Leaves. Again, with a VersaFine ink, you get really rich color. You just want to make sure that when you're putting it on, that you're actually pushing down enough, giving it time to soak into the panel itself, because you're stamping ink to ink, so it does take a couple extra minutes to get that ink solidly onto your design. So just, you know, if you got a couple seconds extra to spare, you get a much better image. If you were doing this and you pulled it up really fast, it's really hard to realign unless you were using a MISTI. And my MISTI is buried somewhere, so I have to make sure that I do actually get a really good image. And there we go. Isn't she lovely? Now what I want to do is I want to create some of the hillside that she's sitting on. Now you can do this before, or you can do it after you stamp your image. The problem doing it before is you don't really know where she's going to be sitting or standing until you actually stamp her. So I've taken some typewriter paper and I've just torn it, and I just want to give it some different hills and valleys. So I'm going to use, and I want to make sure that she's actually going to be sitting on one of the hills. So I'm going to take my bundled sage and I'm going to color it down from the torn edge of the paper, leaving some of the original bundled sage color down there, and you'll see this is just going to give me some nice look. See that? Kind of gives you some hills and some valleys over there. So I want to give it a bit more dimension, so I'm going to bring this up, and I obviously don't want to stamp on her, so I'm going to just cover her, and I'm going to color down from my edge. Not all the way down. You want to have a little bit of delineation, so it looks like it's two sets of hillsides. All right, and over here, just want to fill that in just a little bit. And then I'm going to put another set over here. Alright, so now it appears that she's on one set of hillside when you have another one going on. Now you can keep adding more if you decide you want to put another one over here, which I think I might do. I might just do this. There we go. That kind of looks good. So now it just gives you the illusion that she's walking, you know, through a meadow. Let's call it that for argument's sake. So now that I've got that done, I want to put a sun or a moonscape behind her. So I'm going to take a piece of acetate and I'm going to lay it on top, and then I'm going to use. So, I'm just going to hold this in place, and I'm just going to draw out from the moon itself. Just going to place some of that yellow, just making sure it doesn't move, and then just going around the mirror, adding in that little bit of color. And you can just pick it up a little bit, see how it looks. Ooh, doesn't it look fabulous? And I think I'm going to go around the edges. And I might want to use some regular distress ink at this point. I'm going to use some frayed burlap. And I just want to just touch the edges, just to frame that image a little bit. You can tell my pads are getting old, little fuzzies. Unfortunately, with the stores closed, it's a little hard to get some replacements right now, so we have to make do. Because I've created the hillsides and they're towards the background, thinking I might be able to use some little trees, a little skeleton tree. So I'm going to add one there. I want to use some of the fallen leaves. Because I don't want them too dark, I'm going to stamp off first. I want to do a two-step. I want to get a second generation stamp. And I'm going to line it up on the hillside. And I can slightly be off, which is fine. It looks pretty good. And I'm going to do another one. And again, I'm going to stamp it off. And I'm going to bring it down here. Okay. Then I'm going to use one of the other trees. And I'm going to do the same, but on the other side of the mirror. Do a second generation. I'm going to stamp her here. I like going off the edge a little bit, gives it a little bit more look over here. And I'm going to do another one. And I'm going to bring her. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit off because I want to bring it down a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm wondering what she's holding in her hands. I haven't quite thought that through yet. I think it's beautiful the way it is. Well, while I think of that, I'm going to take the mini flowers and we're going to add some of those around the bottom. So this time I'm going to add some flowers from the Stormy Sky Distressing. It makes a great combination because it's a lighter color. It looks pretty. So I'm just going to scatter them around. Gives it a nice subtle look. And again, I want to make sure that I'm within the confines of my hills so they don't look too odd. Okay, I've got some green ones, some blue ones. And maybe some dusty concord for a couple more. And again, I'm just going to scatter them about. And a little something just right around there. There we go. Alright, I think she's turning out beautiful. She could be doing that with the butterflies, so I think that's what I'll do. What's nice about the butterfly stamp is you can turn it whichever way you want. So I think I'm going to be going this way, like she's releasing the butterflies. Maybe I'm going to pick up the same dusty concord. It's a nice combination. It's a nice color based upon what I've got here. So let me just stamp these first, make sure I like them. Okay. And I'm going to do a second generation stamping on these also. And I think I'm going to flitter them away this way. Perfect. Looks like she's just released them and the color is soft. That's beautiful. I'm going to take some stickles for her hair. Maybe put a little bit in her hair, give her a little bit of glimmer. Not too much. I just want a little bit in there so she looks really sweet. And then just a little bit here and there for the flower centers. I think I'm going to go with a green background for the card. It really brings out the colors in my panel. And I'm going to adhere this to a white card. And she looks stunning. I love the glitter in her hair all around the little flowers. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you again soon.